Ladies and gents, welcome back to Nass Pod NBA Finals edition. Game one has concluded. The Boston Celtics beat the Dallas Mavericks 107 to 89 in pretty convincing fashion. I mean, the game kind of felt like a blowout for pretty much 80% of the game. The Celtics had an insane second quarter. I'll first off and start with Kristaps Porzingis. Was amazing on both sides of the court. He had 20 points, 8 of 13 shooting. He only had two threes, but he actually put on an amazing performance, shooting the ball, taking advantage of numerous mismatches all over the court, especially around the elbow off those pick and rolls, pick and pops, I should say. Or honestly, like half those shots weren't even pick and pops. Like it was a pick and roll, but we would wait for it to develop and wait for some space to be created in between, the defending roll man and then the initial point of attack defender on the ball handler. So it was great to just see him out there. My biggest worry was just his calf. I just wanted to see where he was at. It looks like he could have played like 5 games in the series prior if we really needed him. So it was very encouraging to see him out there. When he's out there, the Celtics are pretty much kind of unbeatable. I mean, you just got to be really well equipped. I mean, we're pretty much kind of deep in every department, and we have two go-to scorers, two go-to point of attack defenders, and our two best scorers can also, defend opposing star players. Obviously, we saw plenty of possessions where Tatum and Brown took on the challenge guarding Luka tonight, especially Jaylen Brown, who, by the way, I was going to get to him next, had an amazing two-way performance as well. 22 points, 7 to 12 shooting from the floor, 6 stocks, three each, 3 blocks, 3 steals. So he was phenomenal. He was really phenomenal. I loved how he kind of just he let the game kind of come to him. If he felt like he needed to, make an impact in a particular facet of the game, like he was going to do that. If he needed to get a stop, he was going to do that. If he needed to contest a drive, he was going to do that. If he needed to hit an open three, he was going to do that. Make an extra pass, cut, like just doing the little things. It was really, really, really good to see, Jaylen to continue to play at a high level on both sides of the floor. Luka Doncic, I thought he played pretty well tonight. He added 30 points. He shot pretty well from the field. I mean, for an NBA Finals debut, I thought he took advantage of what the defense was giving him. And, him only having one assist just tells you that, the Celtics mindset was like, let's just force Luka to just beat us by himself. And obviously he's not going to be capable of that. PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr., they combined for just 1 3-pointer. I made it a note in the NBA Finals preview episode that those two guys have been pretty, they've been pretty good shooting the ball, but, a big reason as to why, they were shooting the ball at such a high clip throughout the postseason was because, for the most part, they were the recipient of a lot of Luka Doncic passes. But I thought that, the Boston Celtics defenders, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, Drew Holiday, I thought we did an amazing job at just containing not just Doncic, but Doncic's, playmaking. Because we know he's a world-class passer and playmaker and floor raiser. So for us to hold him to 1 assist just tells you that we're pretty disciplined on the back end. We're very disciplined off the pick and rolls. We're watching for, his Doncic has this like skip pass that he's just really, really good at. And clearly, we did a great job, covering that. So all in all, even though he did score 30 points, we pretty much took care of business. It looks like that was what the plan was. It looks like let Luka eat. Let's contain everyone else. Kyrie Irving had a pretty off night. His kind of cold shooting in Boston kind of continues. I mean, he hasn't had a great game against the Celtics. I think the last time Kyrie's played well in TD has to be, I think, that game 1 in 2022. I think the first round. I think that when he was during that kind of chaotic, COVID mandate shot year, and he came in, I think he had like 40. I think that was the game that Tatum had the game-winning layup at the buzzer, I believe. But yeah, Drew Holiday, Derek White, that calling card, them being able to contain Luka, contain Kyrie, mainly Kyrie. I mean, I feel like they slowed him down a lot. Kyrie was getting to the paint, didn't get any foul calls. I've always found that kind of funny, that he's never really had issues getting to the paint, especially the way the Celtics were guarding Kyrie. Like, even if you could see that Kyrie felt like he could get by his defender, there was always that, adjacent, like, sinking help defender with his arm out, whether it was Jaylen Brown or Al Horford, just to kind of, make Kyrie think counter. And when you're disciplined, like, on that back end after the initial point of attack defender, it at least makes the offensive player think, like, ahead of time. So now Kyrie knows he might be able to get by Derek White, but what's his counter when Jaylen Brown steps in? And if he kicks it out, is that guy that he's kicking it out to, is that a capable shooter? So you got to think about the way that we shut down Kyrie was pretty interesting to me. And he had a couple, drives to the rim where I think Jaylen got a big block on him at some point. Kristaps, I remember a block on a baseline jumper. Derek White forced him to dribble off his foot. So that's the defensive intensity that I was talking about, and that, like, the ball stoppers and the defensive versatility. That is the sole reason why I feel like the Celtics have a big advantage, just because we just have way too many point of attack defenders that are going to wear you down, make you work hard. And I know I stated that the Mavericks have they faced good defensive teams like OKC and the Clippers and Minnesota, but the Celtics, our defense, the way we are equipped, we have just a lot of the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, our group of point of attack defenders, wing guys, the way we're really cohesive on that side of the floor. If you don't, like, make our defense tilt, or you don't cause our defense to shift, like repeatedly and time and again, you're not helping yourself. And you saw a lot of kind of standing around between some of the Mavericks players. There weren't a lot of set plays. I mean, outside of, like, the notorious Luka pick and roll, there's not a lot of, like, plays where you see the Celtics players are being shifted, or you don't see a lot of fluid movement in the Mavericks sets that basically causes the Celtics defenses and coverages to tilt or shift, or cause some miscommunication or some switches. I mean, for the most part, the Mavericks offense, especially when Luka's not out there, it can get stagnant at times, and it's very glaring even on a night where Kyrie has an off shooting night. And I know earlier in the postseason there were some nights where Kyrie wasn't even shooting well, and the Mavericks were able to overcome that. But against a team like the Boston Celtics, like, that's just not feasible. Like, if they have any chance at winning this series, like, Luka and Kyrie have to be, they just have to kill, and that is just going to be really hard to do against this specific personnel of defenders on our team. Last thing I do want to touch upon, and I didn't mention this point in my NBA Finals preview episode, but the Boston Celtics took 42 3-pointers tonight, and the Dallas Mavericks attempted 27. The 3-point discrepancy might be a real problem, and I didn't mention this because let's just say Kyrie makes 4 more field goals than he did tonight. I still think even if he was able to hit those shots, or even if he was able to have a better game, the 3-point discrepancy is so glaring because Luka had 1 assist. He is the offensive engine. If we are going to be limiting his playmaking to this level, and Dallas is not taking as many threes as us, that's just basic math. You just do the math there, then the Mavericks really don't have a shot at bringing a game home if this is the type of play. And I understand this is early in the finals, it's not a time to panic and whatnot, but I'm just looking around. I'm just like, Porzingis hasn't played basketball in like a month. He came back and it looks like he hasn't missed a beat. And I feel like the Dallas Mavericks' room for error is literally this small and minuscule that I don't know where they go. I mean, the biggest thing with them is they couldn't guard KP on those switches. Now, Derek Lively's a rookie. This is his first everything, not just his first rookie year, his first postseason. Like, this is his first everything. He came off the bench, I believe. I think Gafford started. I think Lively has to be out there because I think Gafford is too slow-footed for Porzingis, and Porzingis is just going to pull him out to the perimeter, which is just pointless because you need Gafford to, be an interior force and, protect the rim and rebound and all that other stuff. But I just find it fairly interesting that, Lively. I feel like this is going to have to be a series for Lively against KP because if Kid can make an adjustment where the Mavericks don't switch specifically on those KP pick and rolls and Lively just stays home with KP, then maybe you might find something because there was numerous possessions where you've got KP on Josh Green, you got KP on Jaden Hardy, you got KP on Luka, you got him on all these smaller guys, and you already know it's just a mismatch, and it just takes one pass. A Mavericks defender is probably not going to sink to help because the level of 3-point shooting on the Boston Celtics is just at a unprecedented level. Like, there's just 3-point shooting everywhere. Hauser hit a couple of 3-point shots today that I was like, oh my god. And I shouldn't even be shocked because he's been doing that all year, even though I just said that he wasn't that productive in the Indiana series. But tonight he played pretty well, hit a couple shots, was grinding, playing good defense. I don't know. I'm just really shocked that I really didn't take into account the 3-point make discrepancy. Dallas just doesn't take as many as Boston. They probably will never take as many as Boston throughout the rest of this series, and they probably won't make as many either. I feel like that's a decent bet too. So honestly, initially I had the Celtics in 7, but I don't know. I mean, it's still early. I know Kid is going to try and make some adjustments. The only adjustment that I can think of that is even, plausible right now is, putting Derek Lively on KP and just having everyone else switch but Lively. But the problem with that is you're taking a rim protector out of the paint. Now Jaylen and Tatum, they're just gonna go to the rim. They're gonna try and get by Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Washington. So that's the biggest thing that I took from game 1 is, how is Kid going to overcome this Porzingis thing? Because it might just be more than an X's and O's. It might just be a lack of personnel. It might just be that Boston's just too much. And, there was a lot of experts out there, especially in the media, that went with Dallas. I didn't really, surf the web until after I put up my preview episode, but I saw a lot of people going with the Mavs, and I think Chris Broussard had said Mavs in 5. My boy Adrian put up a story on his Instagram. Mavs in 5 is crazy, crazy, crazy work. It's kind of a tough take, especially against, arguably the best team in the NBA this season in the Celtics. Starting 5 is, from an advanced metric standpoint, one of the best starting 5s over the past, since the modern era. A couple things I'm going to be on the lookout for game 2 is I know Kyrie's probably going to be very aggressive in game 2 given how he struggled tonight. I want to see how they plan to attack Tatum and Brown. I feel like that's going to be something that they're going to try and do. But, Tatum and Brown are really good defensively, so it's kind of hard to just say, I'm just going to go target this guy. But yeah, Boston up 1-0. 3 more to go. Yeah, so those are some of my game 1 takeaways. Game 2 Sunday. Can't wait to look out for that. It's going to be a competitive game. Hopefully it's a little bit more competitive than this. I mean, I'll take the Celtics W, but kind of a tough, from my NBA fan standpoint, kind of a tough NBA watch. I mean, except for that little Luka run that he went on in the third quarter that cut it to 8. And when he cut it to 8, that's when I was like, okay, maybe, we've seen time and time and again that the Mavs, they've overcome some big leads. I heard on the telecast that I think they were down 25 to OKC in game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals. I don't remember that. being down 25. Like that's a pretty kind of a traumatizing moment looking back at it, especially if you're an OKC fan that you guys were up on the Western Conference champs. 25 points in game one, but you live and you learn. The team is still young, still got a bright future. Celtics are up 1-0 on the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. Game 2, Sunday. Something I'm probably going to do after every game. Just give you my brief takeaways and see where we go from here. 3 more.